Blake Lively said Justin Baldoni created an active smear campaign against her.
That was a lie.
Blake Lively said that she was fat-shamed.
That was a lie.
Blake Lively said they invaded her privacy while she was breastfeeding.
That was a lie.
Blake Lively said she was assaulted during a dance scene.
That was a lie.
Hello, my name is Brittany and you are watching my channel Brittany She Etc. Before we get started, please do not forget to subscribe and at least flirt with that like button before hitting it. Thanks for watching and enjoy. When it comes to this whole ordeal, it seems like we learn something new every single day. Today we are going to be talking about everything that has taken place in the last couple of weeks up until recently when Blake Lively appeared on the red carpet for the movie premiere of Another Simple Favor, which was a joke, a lot of fakery going on. So beginning with last week, we learned of Michelle Trachtenberg's death, which was incredibly sad. I will never forget watching her as a kid in the Harriet the Spy movie. I wanted to be just like her. I even got a composition notebook just because she had one. You would think Michelle's death would only be about her, but Blake Lively somehow pushed her way into the situation, once again putting the spotlight on herself. She released this, quote, heartfelt statement on Instagram, which to me was just gross. Blake and Michelle were not even friends or in contact for that matter, and Blake's statement made it seem like they were so close. A lot of people were fixated on Blake's choice of wording, especially her use of the word yummy, but I was more bothered by this statement when Blake said, quote, she cared deeply about her work, she was proud to be a part of this community, as painful as it could be sometimes. End quote. This makes no sense. What is Blake even talking about? Herself? Because Michelle didn't have any issues with the industry. That's just Blake. And again, she's trying to make this about her. However harsh or insensitive it may sound, I truly believe that when Blake heard the news of Michelle's death, she jumped up in front of it in an attempt to gain sympathy. Also last week, there were some theories swirling around about a possible romance going on between Blake and Justin. I personally don't believe this to be true because I don't believe it's in Justin's character, but what I do think is possible, and this is just a theory, is I do think that at some point Blake could have made a move on Justin and he turned her down. Because of this, she made his life a living hell. Again, this is just an interesting theory, but there really is no evidence to support it. What I believe this most likely comes down to is ego. Blake and Ryan wanted to be in charge of this film and take it over. When they didn't get their way, they just threw a huge tantrum, a very long and drawn out tantrum. This whole situation has involved so many other people that we would love to get answers from, but they have all gone conveniently quiet. I mean, there's a lot of people involved. We have Taylor Swift, Jenny Slate, Colleen Hoover, Liz Plank, Scarlett Johansson, Ari Emanuel, and Brandon Sklenar, and I'm sure there are many more. Speaking of Brandon Sklenar, I did hear some news that Brandon may be the next to play the role of Batman, and it is suspected that Blake and Ryan were the force behind him getting the role. I don't know if that's true, but it would certainly explain why Brandon is so incredibly hesitant to speak on behalf of everything. We also heard news that Blake Lively apparently hired a former CIA agent to help manage her PR crisis team. This may not be true and could just be a scare tactic, but if it is, it shows that Blake and Ryan are scared to some degree. I mean, why would they take such drastic measures if they weren't? This week we had some court updates and we learned that Blake tried to subpoena phone records from multiple employees of Wayfair going back 2 years. The judge would luckily dismiss this request as it was not only unreasonable but would be an invasion of privacy. Even though Blake wanted full access to the personal messages of others, she made it clear she wasn't about to share hers. Blake and her attorney wanted to keep her personal messages out of the public along with her celebrity circle of friends. The judge responded by basically saying Blake would not be receiving any special treatment due to her celebrity status. More ridiculous statements and accusations have come out in the last couple of days. Claims that there was toxic positivity on set. Too nice. It's absolute nonsense. They keep digging and digging, trying to find some kind of dirt on Justin, but they just can't seem to find anything. Justin Baldoni seems like a very kind and gentle human being. He has an adorable family, and it's really sad to see him going through all this at the infancy of his career. You can see the outpour of support for Justin on YouTube and other social media platforms where everyone can speak freely. But as far as the major media outlets, they all seem to shockingly support Blake. And it's not always obvious. They are very selective on what they report on, but they avoid anything that makes Blake or Ryan Reynolds look bad. The whole thing has actually opened my eyes to how corrupt reporters and the media can really be. It's actually insane, and I do understand that they have somewhat of a responsibility to stay neutral and are scared to say things that could affect their jobs, but at the same time, it is their job to report the truth and all facts. Right now, they're failing the public by attempting to change the narrative, and it all looks very shady. The last and most recent court update involves speculation of possible mental illness. We're not sure if this applies to Ryan or Blake, but if I'm being honest, I wouldn't be surprised if it were both of them. Regardless, it does not excuse their behavior. They both know the difference between right and wrong. Mental illness is certainly something I sympathize with, however, it just feels like they're using it as some kind of excuse to avoid responsibility. At this point, I'm sure you've all seen the viral 2016 interview that came to light recently, which showcased Blake Lively being incredibly rude and dismissive to a journalist by the name of Shasti Flaw. Shasti actually has a YouTube channel where she gives insight and a sort of behind the scenes on her experiences interviewing celebrities. She shared her thoughts and given many updates on the whole Blake Lively case, which is very informative. If you haven't been watching her channel, I strongly recommend you do. She has a great point of view that many other content creators can't give, but the sad thing is, Shasti actually has Blake supporters criticizing her, and she doesn't know for sure, but she believes it's possible that Blake's team has been actively trying to silence her. I actually emailed Shasti and asked her how to pronounce her name, and she actually took the time to email me back, which I honestly was not expecting. She has a ton of subscribers, and I'm just this tiny little channel over here. I just think her taking the time was so nice, and it really showed her character. Again, go check her out. She gives great updates. In most recent news, the premiere for the movie Another Simple Favor took place, and oh boy, was it hard to watch. Blake Lively showed up acting like she was super happy and giddy. She's there taking all these pictures with fans and being overly friendly with photographers. Meanwhile, in court, she's saying that her life has been ruined by Justin. She was literally a walking contradiction at that premiere. Anna Kendrick was there as well, and she looked amazing, but interestingly enough, she never once took a picture alongside Blake. I mean, there are pictures of them together, but it seems like someone, mostly the director, is always standing in between them. There was also a Blake protester there in favor of Justin with a sign and everything. The woman protesting is actually a content creator by the name of Colonel Kurtz. I'm not too familiar with her, but I guess she supports multiple cases that involve the Me Too movement, including the Johnny Depp and Marilyn Manson case. But I love the fact that she was there protesting. It was awesome to see, but I almost wish that there was more people there protesting. That would have been even better. Please let me know if you would like more videos on Blake Lively. I'd be happy to do more and continue with the updates. There's just been so much information coming out, but that's going to be it for me today. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.